Hello everyone, welcome to the lecture on JSON parsing in Android. So this is part of a complete series on Android application development that can be found on Udemy, right? I will be posting the links in the group on Facebook over here, right? So you can easily find the complete course on Udemy as well and on the Facebook link as well. So you can join the Facebook group at any time and post your queries over there as well. I will be there to answer you. So let's get started. In this lecture we will be looking at JSON parsing and fetching some data from the JSON, open weather maps API, and then displaying it in the Android application. So it's very simple part, right? And in our next lessons we will be doing a little bit more complex one, right, and displaying the data in the list view. So let's get started. Firstly, I want to show you some links over here that I will be using this API, that is openweathermap.org. But once you completely understand this code, it will be very easy to parse data from any API, right? So for this tutorial I will be using this API, and key points to remember over here is that this app ID is unique, so you won't be able to run this JSON with this app ID. You have to go and create your own account at OpenWeatherMap API, and it's a free account. Fetch your own app ID from there and paste it over here. And then if you want to change your city, right, just type in your city over there. If you want to change your mode from JSON to XML, you can do it over here as well. But since this is a tutorial on JSON parsing, so the format of the result will be JSON. And if you want to change your units of temperature, then you can change it from here as well. So CNT, that's count, right? Currently it's 1, so it's showing me the result of 1 day, right? So if you want to get results of 7 days, right, so what you can do is just type in 7 over here and enter, so you will get the result, temperature results of 7 previous days, right? So the temperature today and the temperature of previous 6 days. But for making it easy, what I will do is that I will fetch the data for 1 day only. So, and you can see that this is quite complex to understand. So what we will be doing is that we will be using an online JSON viewer, and it's free, right? So what you have to do over here is that you have to copy your JSON over here and then paste it over here and then click on view. You will get the complete visualization of your JSON text, right? So let's get started with the code. Let's create a simple JSON app. Next, blank application. And I have BlueStacks installed as my virtual machine for debugging my applications, right? So what you can do is you can use any of your own emulator. So I have BlueStacks for that. Okay, so whenever you see some JSON text, right, so whenever there are curly brackets, it means that it's a JSON object, and if you see these solid brackets, it means that it's an array. So the JSON objects in JSON are represented by those curly brackets, and JSON arrays are represented by these solid brackets, right? So here, if I open this, you can see that we have a JSON object, and within a JSON object we have another JSON object, that's city, right? And in the city object we have another JSON object named coordinates. And if I further open this coordinates, I have two parameters of latitude and longitude, and in this first there is city object, I have another JSON array, I have the first JSON array named list. So what we are going to do is that if we want to fetch some, let's say if we want to fetch the humidity from this list array, so what we are going to do is that we are firstly going to create a JSON object and then create a JSON array, and then that JSON array is going to refer to the JSON object, and then through that parameter we are going to call the humidity, right? We will be seeing, so you don't need to worry about that. So the key takeaway over here is that the curly braces over here represents the objects and the solid brackets over here represents the JSON array, right? And within a JSON object there can be multiple JSON objects or JSON arrays, right? So once you create your new project, you will get something like this, a very basic simple application, right? What we will be doing is that we will be removing this text view from over here, right, and we will be changing the layout to linear layout. And we will be setting the orientation to vertical. Right, so let's go to design view. Let's put a button over here and a text view. Now let's rename it. And now what we are going to do is that we are going to call them in the main activity.java. So what we have a button, and then we have a text view. Okay, so now what we are going to do is that we are going to call an HTTP URL class over here and call it, let's name it connection, and then URL so our URL link, the link of JSON file, right? So it will be going over here. I will paste it later, right? So just the basic structure over here right now. and we are going to surround it with the try and catch. So if some error occurs, so it's going to be catched over here, right? We have a mail formed URL exception, and now we are going to open the connection, right? Connection is equals to typecast HTTP URL connection, and then you are going to put URL dot open connection, and then connection dot connect. So over here what we have to do is that we have to add a catch clause over here as well, right? And now we are going to create an input stream. I will tell you that what an input stream is. So basically the data fetched through the URL is placed into the input stream. The input stream contains all of your JSON file, right? The data that is fetched through that link is kept in this stream, and the buffered reader allows you to apply some actions on it, right? You can apply add roles, upload roles on that as well. So whenever we are going to fetch some data, it's because of the buffered reader, and the input stream contains the JSON text, right? If the text in the line is not null, right, so then it's going to put that data into the buffer, right? So what we need to do is that we need to create a string buffer. Right, so after this what we are going to do is that the entire result will be in the buffer, right? So now what we have to do is that we have to convert that data into string and then return it, right? So what we can do is that return buffer.toString. So what's the error? Okay, so before doing that, what we have to do is that we have to create an async class. Why we have to create an async class is that you cannot perform the network operations on the UI class, so you need to have another class on that and keep this activity for the UI thing only, right? So one thing over is that in Android you cannot perform network operations on the UI, right? So right now what we have to do is that we have to create a inner class over here that is going to be public class. It's a JSON task, right, that extends the async task, and let's put string right. And now what we have to do is that we have to implement methods, right? And then we have also if on post execute. So these two methods are the part of async task, and the do in background task perform all the network operations, and once those operations are performed in the do in background method, right, so the result will be posted on the post execute method, and the post execute method is going to return the result and going to display it in our UI, right? So right now what we are going to do is that we are going to copy all this text over here, right? So I get it from here and paste it in the do in background, right? So all the network operations will be performed in the do in background task. So buffer.toString contains the complete JSON, but it's not in the readable form. So if I am going to run this, so what you are going to see is that this complete JSON is presented in the UI, but obviously we don't need the JSON in this format. We want a meaningful data from it, right? So what we are going to do is that we are going to extract data from it now, right? So let's say let's see this. Let's say that I want to view the city name, right, and the temperature, right? So what is the temperature in day, what is the temperature in night, and what is the temperature in morning? So what we are going to do is that we are going to fetch this value from over here, the name, the city name, and the minimum temperature, the temperature in day, the temperature in night, and the temperature in evening. So let's get started. Here we can see that we have a JSON object first. So what we are going to do is that we are going to create a JSON object now. JSON object is equals to parent object is equals to new JSON object, and we are going to pass the final JSON over here. And we have to add a catch clause over here, and in parent JSON we can see that we have a city object. Since the name is contained in the city object, so what we have to do is that we have to create a city object as well. So let's create another object, JSON object, the city object is equals to, since the city object is contained in the parent object, we are going to put parent object over here, the parent object dot get JSON object, and then enter the JSON object name over here, and the JSON object name is city, right? Where you can see that the name of the JSON object over here is city. Now what we are going to do is that we are going to create a string, right? And why I'm going to create a string over here is the reason that we can see that the name is a string, right, and ID is int. So since name is the string, so we are going to create a string value over here. Now that's a city name is equals to city object dot get string and name over here, right? Now we want to fetch the temperature in morning, temperature in evening, and temperature at night. So since this is contained in the list array, what we are going to go create is the JSON list, right? JSON array. the name of the array is list, right? We can see that the name of the list array is list, and these values, the day, night, evening and morning, are contained in an object which is inside in a list array, right? So what we have to do is that we have to create another JSON object over here. So JSON, let me check it. Yes, it's JSON object. So what we have to do is we have to create a JSON object. The temp object is equals to list array dot get JSON object, and then pass the name, that is the temp. That's the object name is temp, and the values are in int form, right? Integer form. So we are going to create an int over here. Or it's saying that JSON object temp object uses list array dot get JSON object. Okay, over here, so what we have to do is that we can't just directly put temp. We have another object that is 0, and then we have temp, right? So firstly we have to pass the 0th index, right, and then get that object that is present at the 0th index. Now we have to create, let's rename it and call it 0th object, right? And now we are going to create another JSON object, and let's temp object is equals to 0th object or get JSON object and pass temp string temp in morning is equals to temp object dot get. Okay, so I have to make an integer right now, right? So it's int temp in morning is equals to temp object dot get int and pass the name of that node over here, and morning is MOI. Right, so int temp in evening to temp object dot get int, right, and then it's eve, right, int temp at night, so temp object dot get int night. Right, so now what we have to do is that we have to pass this, right? So we are going to do it return temp at night, let's say temp in morning, plus temp in morning plus temp in evening. right? So the result that will be returned once this method is called is that it's going to give you these three values: the temperature in morning, the temperature in evening, and the temperature at night. So if the link is working and if the result is perfect, right, so this will be returned, else null will be returned. So let's add a finally block over here which says that you have to disconnect, right? So we have to connection dot disconnect, and we have a reader. Okay, so since reader is a local variable, so we have to make it a global variable. I'll just put them over here. We are going to initialize it over here now. And let's put a condition over here that if connection is not null, right, then disconnect it. Similarly, if the reader is not null, then disconnect or close it, right? Now what we have to do is that we have to print this result on the screen, right? So we have to call my text view dot set text, and let's first change it to result. Right, now what we have to do is that we have to create an on-click method over here. Where is the issue? Maybe so. Now let's create a my button on-click listener. My button dot set on click listener, right, and new view on click listener, right, and then let's create an object, or let's call that JSON task method over here, class over here. So it's new JSON task dot execute, right, and what we have to do is that we have to pass our URL over here, and we are going to change it from here. So let's remove this and let's put parents 0 here. Now let's copy that JSON link over here. And before that we run this, we need to add one permission in app manifest of this file that it can use internet. So what you have to do is that you have to put users permission Android permission internet, right? So now hopefully this application is going to work. Let's run it. So the application has been deployed and now let's run it. So you can see that the data has been fetched and displayed in the format that we put it in the return value, right? So this is just a very simple part, and we will be covering it to the advanced level and displaying the result in the list view in our complete